Okay, we are often asked how to remove and then reassemble the hinge spring on GHDs. This particular video is specifically looking at the 4.2 Type 2. We know it's a Type 2 because it has got these 5 rows of what I call slots and dots. It's pretty much a dot here and then it elongates. Each one is a little bit more elongated, so that is a Type 2. So first thing to do, we just note the operation is good. Yeah, no problems there. The spring in here very rarely breaks. If I've changed 3 in the last 8 years, I'd be more than surprised. But people, when they're repairing their irons, do sometimes come unstuck when it's time to reassemble the hinge spring. So you need a flat blade of some description. I just use one of these spudgers, and you slide it underneath the hinge cap, and at this point just gently lift up, prise it up, and it will pop off. Occasionally the little plastic pieces will break, but don't worry, you can just apply a tiny little drop of super glue either side of the broken tab, and when you're finished and these are tested, you can reassemble it without any problems. So spin over, slide the tool through again, and gently rock it up. That will expose 2 screw heads, and pop these between your knees, and with 2 stubby screwdrivers attempt to undo them. It's quite stiff, but it's coming undone. If for any reason you cannot budge them, we would suggest popping a stubby screwdriver into a vise if you have one, and then trying again with the other screwdriver, but perhaps with both hands on it. Failing that, we would grab a impact driver. So with 1 screwdriver in the vise, we would attempt to use the weight of the impact driver just to turn and break the seal, like so. And if that doesn't work, then use the impact driver as it was intended with a hammer blow on the end, and that will definitely get them undone. Do not use the wrong size screwdrivers. You risk rounding off the heads if they're particularly stubborn, and you will definitely need an impact driver to undo them then. So at this point we can unscrew, lift off the screw. In this case the washer has come away with it, and that will leave you with the hinge pin pushed through like that. Grab the screwdriver and just push the hinge pin out like that. Put that to one side. Now the arm will now lift out, and that will leave you with this nylon bush that goes through the arm and the metal spring itself. So next thing to do is to slide the nylon bush out. Just poke it out with the screwdriver, and at this point you can lift out the hinge spring. Look at the orientation of this. You'll see that there is a long flat piece and the rest is rounded and a short piece there. It is important to get this working correctly when you reassemble them. That long tab faces forwards, down and towards the switch. So place it in like that. Doesn't quite line up there, but if you grab your nylon piece, just push the spring back, and you can see that there is a good hole there that I can feed this through. If it doesn't line up, it's not going to go through, so just line it up and press the nylon sleeve through. Sometimes it will get stuck up on the other side, you can't push it through like that, but just wiggle it. And if you can't get it through again, just use a screwdriver just to move it around like so, and eventually you will get it so it is flush both sides. In fact, it's come out that side just a little bit. You get the idea. Now the next important bit is I just put my finger on there. Let's try that again. So I'm just going to hold that there, and this arm has to go in sort of pointing up in the air, and then down and squeeze together. Now if I don't hold it squeezed together enough, you'll see that the hole doesn't line up. If I squeeze more, you can see right the way through. If I let go, There's no way I'm getting that centre pin through there. So crush it down, hold it in your hand and get the holes to line up like that. You can then get the hinge pin and push it through. Either side, doesn't really matter which side you're working on. And in my case, everything has lined up and it's gone straight through, which is often the case with this particular Type 2 hinge spring. Pop that down, get the washer and the screw, and without pushing down too much, just gently use the threads to work that in. If it's stiff, just put your finger on the screw head behind and just tighten that up as much as you can. Eventually the other side's going to spin, and at that point you would grab your two stubby screwdrivers and just nip this up. Doesn't need to be overly tightened, just a little nip. And at this point we would take the hinge caps, two different sizes. We've got long tab, short tab, a shallow hole, deeper hole. So the shorter one goes to the shallow, that clicks into place, and again shorter tab into the shallow bit, oops, like that, and then click in the longer one like so. As I said, if any of these break, a little dab of super glue either side of the broken tab and just push it in, hold it there for a few seconds, and that will be that job done. I also forgot to mention this also applies to the Mark 5 irons, the newer version, and that is that.